Very good day to all the viewers. Myself, Dr. Sudheer Kumar Annepu, working as a scientist at Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation Research Center located in Ooty, Tamil Nadu. Today I am going to give a brief talk on the topic titled Mushroom Cultivation in Circular Agriculture as a Sustainable Farming Solution in a digital lecture series created by Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation. Let us start our talk with a question. What makes this mushroom cultivation much unique? Why so much of craze about this mushroom cultivation? Many people are considering it as a next non-green revolution in Indian agriculture. What are those factors? We have so many points for deliberation, but for our talk, I listed few important points. First one is climate resilience. When we say climate resilience, so definitely mushrooms will come into the forefront because mushrooms are cultivated in indoor spaces using the vertical space. No horizontal space is required and it is less affected by the climate vagaries. No cloudburst, neither cloudburst nor a kind of drought season will affect the production of mushrooms in indoor. The next important point is waste utilization. Mushroom industry is labeled as a zero waste industry because the cultivation itself starts by using the agricultural waste as a growing substrate. At the same time, once the crop is over, whatever the leftover waste is there, we'll call it as a spent mushroom substrate. That also can be effectively utilized as an organic manure in field crop production and soil health improvement. So virtually there will be no waste in this particular mushroom activity. Another important point in mushroom industry is nutrition. When we say mushroom, the first point strikes to your mind is it is highly nutritious and fully loaded with a lot of active metabolites. And more importantly, protein is too high in mushroom crop. When we say global hunger index rankings, our country always comes in the lesser rankings because the problem is the amount of protein available to the growing children is relatively less in our country. If protein is a problem, mushrooms are the solution. Definitely the amount of protein produced per unit of area, per unit of space is too high, extremely high in mushrooms when we compare to any other food crop. Water use efficiency, yes, we know the amount of water available for the future agriculture is certainly diminishing. In that case, mushrooms are the one good crop where the high amount of water use efficiency is there to produce a quality protein. Another important point is short duration. If you ask me what is the USP, unique selling proportion in mushroom industry, I always stress upon the duration. Because mushrooms can be completed, the cropping cycle can be completed typically in a 40 to 50 days. Even some of the mushrooms, they have the potential to give the fruiting within 20 to 25 days. That is the reason why many young entrepreneurs, educated youth, they want to venture into this activity. They can immediately get back the investment, whatever they put into this activity. And yes, labor intensive, it looks like a negative point, but certainly whenever there is a lean agriculture period is there, whenever agriculture labor don't have enough field works, those labor can be redirected towards this kind of high economic activities in rural areas. These are the few points why a lot of interest is developed around the mushroom cultivation in India. Moving forward, what our Indian mushroom industry is offering to the growers or the farmers. The Indian mushroom basket is typically composed of several mushrooms. In that line, the first mushroom comes Agaricus bisporus. We will call it as a common white button mushroom. Each and every consumer in Indian subcontinent, they know about this mushroom. All grocery stores, sabji mandis, everywhere this mushroom is freely available. And this is the one mushroom which has different kind of potential. Even it can fit as a high scale agricultural enterprise or even at the low scale farmer level oriented production also is possible. In India, many people, they have invested crores of rupees to start a high-end agricultural enterprises in butter mushroom cultivation. At the same time, it is not far to the rural farmers also. Even Haryana, Punjab, Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, the farmers have really excelled in cultivation of this white button mushroom using the low-cost seasonal growing structures. They are almost on par with any mushroom cultivation techniques across the globe. Next to white button mushroom, we have a group of mushrooms. It is a bowl of mushrooms, we will call it as oyster mushroom, popularly known as dingri mushroom. It has a very wide range of colors. It offers, you can see, pure white color to blue color, pink color, yellow color, grey color. It has a lot of diversity in this particular mushrooms. We'll call it as a Pleuretus eos, Pleuretus citrinopolis, Pleuretus austriatus, Pleuretus erinci. Like that, different group of mushrooms are there in oyster. If you are a beginner, you want to start the mushroom at a low scale without having a lot of technical know-how or technical skill, and even if you don't have enough investment to start a high-end activity, so these are the perfect mushrooms. because cultivation of oyster mushrooms are very easy. It can grow on a diverse kind of growing substrates. You say paddy straw, you say wheat straw, you say sugarcane bagasse, you say mustard straw. Any kind of waste can be effectively used for cultivation of the oyster mushrooms. And these are the one of the potential and viable source for conversion of the agricultural residues, where the northwestern part is severely struggling in the black carbon emissions coming from the crop residue burnings. They can be comfortably converted as a quality protein by incorporating the mushrooms into their cropping cycles. And other than button mushroom, white button mushroom and oyster mushroom, many people not aware about what kind of edible mushrooms are there in India. In that series, I presented here the 4 different edible mushrooms. The first one is portobello. It is called as Agaricus bitorquis. Wherever Agaricus mushroom, bisporous white button mushroom cultivation is difficult because of the temperature limitations, and this mushroom can act as a perfect substitute to white button mushroom, because Agaricus bitorquis can be cultivated at a 30 plus degrees temperature. That is a major advantage of these portobello mushrooms. Next we have Microcybe gigantea is there. It's also very tasty edible mushroom. It's a new mushroom addition to the Indian mushroom basket. And we have Calocybe indica, milky mushroom is there. It's a very popular in southern part of the India, where many units have established in cultivation of this mushroom. Next we have a Wolverella wolvaceae, popularly known as a paddy straw mushroom, which is very much popular in the coastal plains where relative humidity is very high. In those areas, this mushroom is very popular, especially in Odisha, West Bengal, Jharkhand regions. And these are the next group of mushrooms where a lot of craze is there nowadays. Many agri-entrepreneurial units are developed in this particular specialty and medicinal mushrooms. Not many people are aware about it. And why so much interest on these mushrooms? Let us discuss. The first one is, we'll call it as a Lentinella edodes, popularly known as shiitake mushroom. It contains a bioactive compound called lentenin, which is highly effective against the stomach cancers. And this was already approved as a drug in Southeast Asian countries like Japan and Korean region. And this is the only mushroom which has both culinary and medicinal properties. That is why globally it is becoming one of the major important mushroom, highly cultivated mushroom across the globe. And next to that we have Ganoderma lucidum, popularly known as a reishi mushroom. It contains an active compound called ganoderic acid. So many other active compounds also there, but these are the main bioactive compounds which drives the interest on these specialty mushrooms. And it has a very good properties to cure the stomach ulcers or gastrointestinal problems. If anybody is suffering with that, these mushrooms has the very good potential to cure those problems. Next to that we have Cordyceps sinensis. In the recent time, last 3-4 years, if you name any one agricultural commodity which attracted the high-end investments, lot of entrepreneurial activities happening around this mushroom, that is Cordyceps sinensis, because it contains an active compound called cordycepin. This cordycepin acts as a biological response modifier. It also acts as an immune booster. Like you have any immunity related problems, any debilities in your body, it has a property to cure all those things. And this mushroom is fetching almost 50,000 to 75,000 rupees per kg. That is why you can imagine how much economic potential it can offer to the farming community or a kind of agri-entrepreneurial communities. And next down the line you can see Flammulina volitipes, we'll call it as a golden needle mushroom, winter mushroom. It is also having a very good active compound called velutin. And nowadays so much research is going on across the globe using this velutin, how to stop the reverse transcriptase process in viral multiplication. So it is going to be a breakthrough in the future coming days. Certainly it is also one good edible mushroom with medicinal properties. And next mushroom we have a Hericium mushroom. By shape you can visualize it is called as a Hericium mushroom, monkey head mushroom, cauliflower mushroom. It is also offering an active compound, very interesting active compound called hericinones, which is acting as a neuroprotective bioactive compound, very precious bioactive compound, because wherever this aged population is there, the cognitive ability in the aged population is improved by this hericinone compound. That is why this mushroom is getting a lot of inroads in, especially in the countries where the aged population is there, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, in Southeast Asian regions. It is spreading like anything. Next mushroom is Auricularia polytricha, which is also having very good anti-inflammatory properties. Similar to that, we have a series of medicinal mushrooms, specialty mushrooms are there. I just listed few of those mushrooms which have a lot of economic potential in Indian country. Next is the theme topic, mushroom-based circular economy. When you say circular economy, there are so many definitions are there. But the major purpose or the major aim, goal, principle of circular economy is whatever the inputs, whatever the resources entered into the particular system, those resources can be kept in that system, retained in the system as much time as possible without resulting in waste. If waste is generating, the same can be repurposed, recycled in another industry. Under such cases, it is called as a circular economy. When you say circular agriculture, our Indian agriculture is traditionally characterized by circular agriculture because in earlier days our farmers used to add lot of organic manures, whether it is a poultry manure, whether it is an animal based manure, including kitchen waste also they used to apply to the soil to improve its soil health. But nowadays the Indian agriculture is slowly characterized by the kind of intensive agriculture, typically characterized with a monocropping. So nowadays we are losing all those principles. That is why these regenerative agriculture, closed loop agriculture and mission life, all these factors are floating into the nowadays coming because to supplement those kind of problems. And mushrooms, certainly it fits into the circular economy principle because as I told earlier, the mushroom cultivation, it starts from the waste. The waste agricultural residues are there, they are using as a substrate for cultivation of the quality protein. The resource recovery from the waste material is too high when we take up the mushroom cultivation as a circular economy activity. Similarly, as the end product, whatever the spent mushroom substrate is there, that can be comfortably converted into compost and it can be added to the soil quality improvement. And certainly local economies, it is improving wherever mushroom activity is taken up, whether it is a rural area or watershed areas, definitely it is creating the additional job opportunities through mushroom recycling. Taking these principles as a cue, our institute located at Ooty Center, we have conducted one case study in Udhagamandalam watershed development program. The Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation has a trademark in watershed development activities. And nowadays, recent PMKSY 2.0 guidelines, if you refer, they are clearly stating that alternative enterprises need to be promoted in parallel to the primary food production activities. That's all categorized as a secondary agricultural activities. When you name secondary agricultural activities, there are so many avenues are there. For example, beekeeping, a very good avenue, and poultry, dairy is there, and in case of silkworm rearing, like that, so many secondary agricultural activities are there. But the problem is all these activities may not fit to the all kind of regions. But mushrooms are, as I told, they are a group of crops there with a different kind of fruiting requirements which can able to give crop at a different kind of climatic zones, so that it can be fit in any kind of watershed development activities as a bridging link between the primary and secondary agriculture. So you can see we have done this particular case study in Idugatti watershed located in Tamil Nadu. It is a temperate ecosystem where dairy was not possible, poultry was not possible as I discussed earlier. Mushroom cultivation was taken up as a secondary agricultural activity in watershed development programs. The farmers have successfully cultivated this mushroom, and after the completion of the mushroom production, the leftover spent mushroom substrate was again recomposted and converted into organic manure and applied to the soil. So it has several benefits. For some of them I have listed here. The major important thing is it improved the soil organic content without changing without increasing the soil CO2 emissions, which is the typical characteristic of a circular economy model, the objective of circular economy model. It has achieved. When we apply recomposted spent mushroom substrate as a replacement or as a supplement to the animal based manure, it has the potential to reduce the CO2 emissions, reduction in CO2 emissions. At the same time, it has the potential to sequester the high amount of the carbon. Like that, we achieved the objectives of the circular economy by integrating mushroom with the field corruption. Now the important point is, as I told, we have so many group of mushrooms are there. Then the question comes where to grow and when to grow. That is an important aspect for a deliberation at a preliminary stage. So our intention is like if energy intensive climate controlled unit, you can grow anywhere in the country. Mushrooms can be as indoor crops, you can grow it anywhere. But the logic is, instead of promoting the energy intensive indoor cultivation, our idea is to promote at a using the seasonal condition at a small farmer level. For example, if our watersheds are located in the northwestern part, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal, Uttarakhand region, in that case, white button mushroom can be successfully introduced in those areas. If our watersheds or our targeted area is located in the northeastern part of the country, we can go for shiitake mushrooms, we can go for oyster mushroom. Similarly, if our target is a east coast plain area, starting from the West Bengal, Odisha region, coastal Andhra, in those areas where relative humidity is very high, in such cases, paddy straw mushrooms, Volvarilla volvaceae, can be successfully promoted there. In southern part of India, we can go for a milky mushrooms, macrosybia mushrooms can be promoted. Like that, using the seasonal variability, wherever the season is fitting, these mushrooms can be perfectly introduced into those watershed areas as a high value secondary agricultural enterprise. And you can see when to grow. To address that particular question, I have characterized all these mushrooms into 3 different groups, starting from the tropical mushrooms, subtropical mushrooms, and temperate mushrooms. Tropical mushrooms, irrespective of its tropical nature or temperate nature, the vegetative stage, the initial stages of mushroom cultivation, we'll call it as a mycelial run or a spawn run. They all require a typical temperature of 25 plus or minus 2 degrees. Whereas for the fruiting, tropical mushrooms requires a temperature range of 25 to 30. Even some of the mushrooms like milky mushroom, paddy straw mushroom, they will come at a 30 to 35 degrees also they are coming. Subtropical mushrooms, which is characterized by the oyster group, they can be comfortably cultivated around 20 to 25 degrees. Even 18 plus or minus 2 degrees flexibility is always there. When we want to grow for a seasonal cultivation of mushrooms, the temperature requirements are not too strict like environmentally controlled units. But yes, within that zone plus or minus 2, if you could able to regulate the temperature using a kind of jugaad techniques, definitely it is possible to grow mushrooms with a very less investment. Temperate mushrooms, as I told, wherever the winter temperatures are too low, starting from the October, November, that time onwards, we can promote these temperate mushrooms in a temperate climatic conditions, where the typical temperature requirement is around 60 to 20 degrees centigrade. So this is how we can explore the regional differences, regional suitability, we can promote different kind of mushrooms. And yes, small caps, big gains. Being an agricultural researcher, being an agricultural stakeholder, we always have to stress upon what the farmer will get, how much the farmer can get. Then only the technology can be looked as a viable. So we have compiled all these guidelines and we submitted our report to the Committee on Doubling of Farmers' Income Framed by the Government of India. And a comprehensive policy recommendations were published using these micro watersheds, how to promote these kind of mushrooms as a secondary agricultural activity. Detailed report is there. For example, let us take if it is a northwestern India, where the Punjab, Haryana, parts of HP, UK, JK is there. There, starting from the October to January period or November to February period, we can definitely grow white butter mushrooms successfully without much hiccup comparable to the controlled units. And we can get similarly same shed up, because once you establish a growing shed, a temporary growing shed, we cannot leave it as a waste. So that in a subsequent phases like February to April, we can grow one crop of oyster mushroom. Even August to October, where the temperatures are similarly around 30 to 25 to 30 degrees, we can grow one more crop of oyster mushroom. Like that, besides the farmer, because the farmer no need to deviate from his primary agricultural activity, whether he is following the rice wheat system or rice maize system, whatever the cropping system he is following, let them follow. Besides that, a small amount of space can be deviated for this mushroom activity and they can get an additional revenue of net revenue. It is a net revenue after deducting the all expenditures, almost 2.8 to 2.9 lakhs they can earn. Similar to particular region wise, we had divided what kind of mushroom is possible, how many crops can be grown and which month can be grown, so how much efficient can be, how much amount they can able to earn. These are for some reference purpose. Check this report. Moving forward, for effective watershed planning, whenever watershed planning is happening, the major hiccup with the introduction of these kind of programs is the problem is investment. Many people feel like white butter mushroom cultivation, for that sake any mushroom cultivation is highly investment oriented, so many farmers may not have that kind of investment. Under such case, what our field experiences are saying, like we can promote a hub and spoke model. No need to invest everything with one single farmer. Any kind of government agency, whether it is a RKVY or NABARD or a kind of any for that sake any outreach activity, the government or nation can establish one good quality compost production unit. So that what can be done, any interested farmers can be brought under this loop. The compost unit can act as a hub. From there we can generate the spokes and we can distribute this good quality compost to the different farmers, interested farmers who can do the crop management under the seasonal conditions. In such cases, we can aggregate all that crop and we can make it as a good farmer interest groups or farmer producer organizations we can promote using this technique. That is what nowadays in horticulture sector also these hub and spoke models are getting a lot of craze. Even we can take the cue from the latest new generation marketing techniques where the Ola is there, Rapido is there, Swiggy is there, how they are aggregating the services from the existing players in the market. Similar way, we can also promote our techniques, whether it is a mushroom activity, for that sake, any other secondary agricultural activity, we can promote these hub and spoke models to make it as an effective watershed planning without deviating any kind of, without leaving any population, any farmers in the loop. And let us come to the why these kind of, whether it is ICAR, Indian Institute of Soil and Water Conservation, or Directorate of Mushroom Research, or even DRDO, CSIR, NABARD, for that name, any kind of research organization, everybody want to touch upon this area. You might have come across these kind of news articles, web articles, in social media, many areas you might have seen. Why this much craze about this mushroom? Why every research organization want to enter into this particular domain? So the logic is, it is creating a clear impact. When you take up the mushroom cultivation in watershed developments or secondary agricultural activities or agri enterprises, it is creating the clear impact within the less possible time. So that is the magic of these mushrooms. That is why people are behind this one. If anybody interested to dwell upon further, like what mushrooms, how to cultivate them, what are the techniques in crop management, how to control the temperature regulation, environmental control, how to post-harvest management, all those things we have detailed in our textbook, Guide to Mushroom Cultivation, recently published by Indian Council of Agriculture Research. You can refer that book for further details. And thank you very much for your patience listening. If anybody have any issue, any clarification required, you can write to me. My email ID sudheerannepu@gmail.com. Even ICAR Directorate of Mushroom Research is also supporting my previous organization, that is also supporting to the entrepreneurs of farmers by providing the training programs. Thank you one and all.